So what is the alternative to healing naturally? So this is really the question we need to be posing, because everyone is looking at, medicine being the go-to solution, and then everything else is alternative care. And that has even been framed that way in order to dismiss the idea that anything outside of what mainstream medicine is doing can be effective, because this is the alternative to the accepted way of going about treating things and healing the body. But I'm going to tell you right now that healing is an inside job. It starts from within and it ends from within. Anything that you try to do from the outside, that is the alternative to natural healing, is actually what else is going on around there. And I want to dive in and even think about, is that something that even makes sense? Because healing is something that our body does naturally, just because we're alive. Life equals healing. Life is repairing and regeneration of tissues. It is stopping the forces of nature that's trying to break us down and turn us into dust, right? If we're not alive, what happens? Our body starts to decompose. If we're alive, we resist that because our body is regenerating. It is resisting those forces of nature. So healing is an innate life-giving experience that we have in this physical body and this reality that we're experiencing right now. So anything outside of respecting the fact that healing works from within is basically a way to be okay with living outside of being in harmony with nature. Let me repeat that. Anything that we do outside of supporting and nourishing our body to heal naturally from within, the inside out, which is what our body is already doing, is it is allowing us to violate the laws of nature for what our body needs. So if you have high blood pressure, that is a sign that your body is not doing something wrong, or your body is responding appropriately to the damage and the stressors that it's been placed under. And it is a compensation mechanism to deal with the increased level of acidity and acidosis in the body. And so it creates inflammation as a response to that. Or there may be tissues that aren't getting enough blood supply, so it has to systemically increase blood pressure to be able to deal with that. Or if the blood vessels have become so corroded that they have started to become smaller, that naturally starts to increase the pressure. What is that telling us? That in of itself is telling us that we have gotten to that state because we have been disconnected with living with nature appropriately. We've not been consuming the right diet, or putting the appropriate foods in our mouth. We have been eating the wrong stuff that has increased in acidity. We have become disconnected between our brain and our central nervous system to the rest of our body through nerve interferences that start to break communication down. So now the body now has to start guessing on what it's doing. So when we start living our lives and disrupting the natural flow of energy, there's going to be things that are a consequence, and high blood pressure may be one of them. It's like a side effect of living outside of nature. And so what we do in the mainstream science is we say, oh, well, we know that can be dangerous and that can cause strokes, so we're gonna make it seem like you're healthy by giving you a pill to lower your blood pressure. So now you're okay. So now you don't have to make any lifestyle modifications. You don't have to change anything. In fact, you can ignore that warning sign that there's other issues that are going on so that you can continue living. How about pain? How about if you have severe headaches, migraines? Here, take this pill so that you don't have them. Oh, thank goodness. Take the pill. Now I can go through life and I can function again. And I understand when you're in that state, like you need to do something. But if you ignore that sign that your body gave you that something is way off, and you don't actually do something to work to get back into harmony with nature within your body, to get reconnected to that source energy inside of you that is giving you the life, you are going to be chasing solutions that are actually poisons that are covering up the problem to allow you to kick the can down the road. And here's the thing, a lot of us don't even consciously walk into that agreement realizing what you're agreeing to. You're thinking that is the solution, that you need this because your body is broken. No, your body is not broken. Your body is disconnected. You're living outside of harmony with nature, and because of that, there's a problem that starts to develop. Imagine a marriage where you're with your spouse and you never communicate. You never share your feelings with one another. You don't communicate your love with one another. And suddenly, you guys wind up arguing and having a problem, and you see this relationship thing at the end that's like not a good relationship. It's like, what's happened here? Well, you've lived out of harmony with the natural laws of how you live a harmonious relationship, and guess what? It's led to serious problems in your relationship. Now, do you want to take a pill to try to cover that up and say like, oh, let's pretend that we don't have any issues? And it's like, but because you were living out of harmony this whole time, you weren't doing the right things to nourish that relationship. So of course you're going to have a problem. So you can't do anything here with the problem unless you actually work on realizing how to get back in touch and nourish that relationship in that example. Same with the body. If we're not looking to nourish the body, to allow it to get rid of the toxins that have built up over the decades of our wrong lifestyle choices, and if we're not getting it back in touch with that brain-body connection, that life force energy that's keeping us alive, that comes through the brain, through the spinal cord, out through the nerves, and vibrates into all the tissue cells, bringing them into resonance together so that they can work as one cohesive unit that's bringing forth that life spring, you're going to break down. And so this is what they want to keep hidden from you, because they can't sell pills and surgeries and all of these false solutions to you if you know the truth. If you understand what it takes to actually heal, which means that you have to fall back into a rhythm and learn what to connect to, that source of natural healing that's already present within you. It's the only way you ever heal. If you connect back in with that, then you don't need all the rest of this stuff. You don't need all this. Then medicine just becomes an emergency service, which is where it should be. Broken arms, catastrophes, things like that, where we need to be able to save a person. It's a life-threatening situation. We need all those tools at our disposal. That's where pharmaceuticals come in, to be able to say, hey, you know what, let's block this person from bleeding out right now. Great use of that. But for everything else, it's a problem with getting out of harmony with, from being out of harmony with nature. So there is no alternative to natural healing. That's the only way it happens. So I want you to really focus your attention on that source from within that allows that healing to flow and come forth naturally. And when you start to bring your focus and attention to that, then everything else starts to fall back in line, and you start to have the solutions and understanding that you need in order to heal.